This walkthrough explains how the Build Track tool works within a post-production pipeline environment. We begin by accessing the pipeline file and selecting the Build Track option. From here, we can choose the episode we want to generate tracks for. In this case, we'll select N101. There's an input field that lets us customize the track name, allowing teams to clearly identify specific builds. We also have a sequence filter. For example, if we only want to include shots from 10 to 20, we simply enter that range into the filter to limit the selection. We can choose whether or not to include handles. By default, handles are disabled to prevent overlapping between clips in the track. Another option allows us to preserve the shot's original frame range, as registered in the database. If this setting is unchecked, the system will stack all shots at the beginning of the track. Next, we have the ability to define the type of content we want to include in the track. We can choose to build the track using the latest version of each shot. If enabled, this option will fetch the associated task that contains the latest published version. There's also an option to include renders, pulling them directly from the task tied to each shot. In addition, we can ingest plates and reference files. In this example, we'll start by including references and then build the track. At this stage, we're keeping the frame range. As we can see, shots from 10 to 90 are included, and their original frame ranges are preserved according to the data in the system. If we apply a sequence filter, let's say we only want to include shots 10 and 20, and enter a custom name like Refedit 10 to 20, the track will be created with that name and will only include the filtered shots. Switching to the Plates tab, we can ingest plates for each shot. In this case, only one plate is available, so that's the one shown in the interface. Back in the Render section, we can select from the list of available tasks. For example, we might choose the Compo task and build a track using that. As seen in this case, there's already a render available for shot 10, which is ingested while maintaining the correct frame range from the database. There's also a latest version option that, when enabled, would fetch the latest version published for each shot. In this example, no versions were loaded, but the system would behave similarly. Finally, if we disable the frame range option and include renders again under the References tab, the result will be a new track that stacks all selected shots at the start of the timeline.